ZF has nearly 150,000 employees on a worldwide basis, 36 billion turnover in 2019. ZF is strong in passenger cars and commercial vehicles, in drivetrain, in safety issues, and we are very proud to have today with us Dr. Holger Klein, who is a member of the management board of ZF and responsible for the total market in Asia and Pacific. Mr. Klein, give us some of your insights on the Chinese passenger and car market.
So as you said, we are present in different industry segments. We are on the one hand side in the commercial vehicle and on the other hand side in the passenger car. And 2020, if you look at it, was not a bad year in China. Yeah, so I think most players here, the suppliers, the OEMs, after the first shock of COVID, recovered pretty fast. So a typical V-shaped recovery. So where finally, for us and for many other players, the year 2020 turned into a very positive year. And we tried to keep the momentum for 2021. And as you said, January and February, although February is always a weak month because of Chinese New Year, were very positive as well. And what do I mean by positive? Of course, we look always at the customer sentiment. Do people buy cars? And this is happening. Yeah. So I think here is a very unbroken enthusiasm for latest technology vehicles. The average age of the customer is significantly lower than what we see in Europe. And therefore, the market demands are a little bit different. Yeah, we talk a lot about the intelligent connected vehicle. This is taking shape very fast. And so we are very excited to see the continuation of this V-shaped recovery and are very hopeful for a strong 2021.
So your perspective for passenger cars is very optimistic. The truck and commercial business vehicles could be a little bit difficult because you had a strong year last year. So what are ZF's plans for the next 5 years? Because China is the most important passenger car market in the world, and it will grow and grow and grow.
So that's right. Yeah, and that's why we as ZF wanted and will double down on China. Yeah, so me being here in China as a global board member, and I'm leading global businesses from China, are describing very much what we do as a strategy. On the one hand side, we are in China for China, but more than that, we are leading out of China, certainly certain product segments for the world. For us, it became very clear, especially during the COVID crisis, that it's very important to localize here in China. You need to have all the competencies in China to serve the Chinese customer, the Chinese market. And for us, COVID even accelerated something which we were planning to do anyway, to be in the region a very strong partner with all the localization and the competencies. If you ask us what are our plans for the next 5 to 10 years, we aspire to have a market share or to a revenue share of ZF globally of about 30% in 2030. We are at the moment roughly at 20%. So we need to find another 10%. Yeah, and this will happen with new technologies.
So very ambitious objectives and targets for the next years, and software and car software will be a major issue in your business plan. Well, I read something about a middleware which you're doing as a software platform.
Yeah, you know, I think in general, we all talk about software-defined cars in the future. And it all starts with functions which are updated over the air. In order to do so, you need a certain software architecture, service-based software, and then you need a different E&E electronics architecture, which then means higher performing computers like our Pro AI, where you have this computing power to perform these operations in very short time. So for us, it's important to play in all of these areas. Yeah. So on the one hand side, we are with our Pro AI very much in this high computing segment. And this is something we started with European premium customers, where we are the supplier for these supercomputers if you want. And then there's a question on which software and abstraction layer is then the functions running. And that's a middleware. And we figured out if we want to play a role in this, we need to offer this on the one hand side for the customers which do it themselves to play on eye level. On the other hand, there are customers who take the full package. And then you have on this layer functions like what we call vehicle motion control. We call that cubics, which is then a vehicle motion control software, which really enables you to combine the functionality of a steering, a braking, a suspension in a way that you have new functions for the driver, the end customer. And this is then all driven by software. And this is functions you can update, you can pay for license agreements, etc. And this is changing actually our way we work with our customers as well. So this is very important. And this is happening here in China very much. Valet parking is becoming a very important part of these functions. As you can imagine, in these mega cities here, it's a value per se if you save space because you have a higher parking density and of course a service. And there are other topics, level 2+, automated driving functions are becoming more and more a mainstream, I would say. And this is where we play and where we see the future of our content per vehicle. So very exciting times with very different players sometimes compared to what we see in Europe and the US.
So you have some kind of modular system in which your customer can decide to take the whole package or part of the package functions which are available on a worldwide basis. And on YouTube, you can see a lot of videos on Teslas, on the full self-driving systems, which they at the moment are offering. Just to make a small benchmark or comparison with that, are you going into the same direction with your customers? And do you think that the competition between, for example, on the one hand, Tesla, and on the other hand, on the classical car makers, will be stronger and stronger and stronger, and the classical car makers will offer similar systems like the full service driving system of Elon Musk?
So, Professor Dudenhöffer, the beauty of my position is as a supplier, you talk to all of them. And although I'm not allowed now to talk about who exactly is our customer and what is the functionality, I think it's fair enough to say we serve them all. And of course, you see differences sometimes where you see that the Teslas in the world, but it's not only Tesla. In China, you could talk about NIO or other very aspirational car makers who have the advantage of less legacy because they started from a new platform and architecture. They are bringing in new functions, and that shows for the end customer. But I believe that our more traditional OEMs, they are catching the wave. They are very advanced in the planning and in the actions, actually. We get awarded with these supercomputers as we talk, and it's the same track. And I think there's a lot of experience. And don't forget, at the end of the day, it's as well about the driving dynamics and the physics of a car, where you see software on its own won't do the trick. So advantages and disadvantages on both sides. And we are very happy to serve all of them. And what I must say, it's very dynamic. It's very dynamic. And I'm very, very joyful in terms of looking forward to the many functions we will see in the next generations of car we have never thought of. So it's an exciting industry all over the world and especially in China. So,
ladies and gentlemen, we see there's a new chapter in automotive industry, and that is clearly software driven. And the Shanghai Automotive Show is a very important event which shows us news in that respect. So software will drive the car industry, and Shanghai and ZF will be part of that. That's very interesting. Thank you very much, Dr. Klein, for the time you spent with us.
Thank you very much, Professor Dudenhöffer.